We welcome back, joining us, Florida Congressman Byron Donalds. He is a member of the House Oversight Committee. Byron, it is fabulous to see you again. Thank you. You've been avoiding me, Byron Donalds. Yes, you have.
Never avoiding you, Larry. It's always good to be with you. Thanks for having me back.
All right, thank you. Now, how do you read it? First of all, with respect to Hunter, we're going to have a contempt message, some sort of contempt vote regarding Hunter Biden's no-show today?
Look, I think that we're going to go ahead and vote in favor of an impeachment inquiry. What I saw today from Hunter Biden, also from House Democrats on the floor a couple hours ago, fear-mongering, trying to blame this all on Donald Trump, ignoring the corruption, the pay-for-play scheme, the violations of FARA, the Foreign Agents Registration Act, tax evasion, money laundering. They're ignoring all of that because they're trying to scare a handful of my colleagues into looking at this politically and voting against impeachment inquiry. But I believe House Republicans are going to do the job that is necessary. We have so much evidence here, and all we need is to have these final interviews to go through the final roster of people who need to be deposed in order to finish our investigation. We're actually very close to that. House Democrats realize that they're in a terrible place because Joe Biden and his family have been on the take for years. And now Joe Biden, who, by the way, is doing a terrible job as president of the United States, in my view, is compromised because of all of the money that he has allowed his family to take using his name.
Congressman, will the impeachment inquiry, the formal impeachment inquiry, pass today? I think the vote is at 5 or 6 p.m. after our show. Are you taking the over on that?
It's going to pass, Larry. That's my view. There's been a lot of deliberations from members who really weren't all the way clued in on what the whole scope of our investigation has been. But as we've gone through and made that case to those members, gotten them to understand all the facts and the aspects of what we're talking about, we believe the votes are there. That is going to pass in about an hour.
Let me just play some sound from Hunter Biden's little speech in front of the Capitol today as he failed to show up for the deposition. You've probably heard this, but let's play this sound.
James Comer, Jim Jordan, Jason Smith, and their colleagues have distorted the facts by cherry-picking lines from a bank statement, manipulating texts I sent, editing the testimony of my friends and former business partners, and misstating personal information that was stolen from me.
That's kind of nasty stuff. Personal attacks on the committee chairs who have been diligent in their work. What do you make of that? And you know, Joe Biden he saw this speech before the speech, so he was very much a part of this. Byron Donalds, what do you make of this? How nasty is this going to get?
Well, the first thing I take of it is that statement, which he read, was written for him by his attorney, more than likely Abby Lowell. He wrote that statement for Hunter Biden. Number two, let's tell you what happened today. He shows up on the Senate side of the Capitol to do this press conference because he knew that House Republicans were in the oversight hearing room ready to do this deposition. He had no intentions of complying with the congressional subpoena. And for everybody who's tracking this at home, you have two DOJ officials who are being blocked by the administration from complying with a congressional subpoena. You have the former White House counsel who is being blocked by the administration for complying with a congressional subpoena. At this point, the House's only position is to pass the impeachment inquiry because you're dealing with a lawless administration that is accustomed to the obstruction of justice by the Department of Justice to protect the Biden family. His statement was a joke. And for him to show up on Capitol Hill, give a presser for not even a presser. He read a statement, took no questions from the press, got back in the car and left, demonstrates how arrogant he is about the seriousness of what's going on. And let me be very clear, Larry. Any American out there who defies a congressional subpoena, they will be held in contempt of Congress and they will be prosecuted by the Department of Justice. Hunter Biden is not above the law. Last point I will say, Donald Trump Jr. was deposed by House Democrats 5 times, and there was no impeachment inquiry vote, and Donald Trump Jr. sat for those depositions. And what the House Democrats found out at the time is that all they were doing was just fishing, and there was nothing there. We have the goods on Hunter Biden. He needs to come in and answer questions.
Well, the Merrick Garland Justice Department is still trying to throw Steve Bannon, former Trump aide, and I might add, friend of mine, Steve Bannon in jail for not showing up for deposition. So why should they be fair is fair and with the same application of justice?
And look, and I will say, with respect to Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro, they were White House officials. So there is a clear argument that they were protected by executive privilege under the Trump administration. Hunter Biden is not a part of any administration. There is no executive privilege that protects him from coming to Congress and sitting for a deposition because he's been subpoenaed to do so. But Larry, at the end of the day, the reason why Hunter is running, the reason why the White House is obfuscating, the reason why House Democrats are pounding the table because they don't have the facts is because the Biden family has been complicit in a foreign corruption scheme. Joe Biden knew about it. Joe Biden took money from it. And I believe that Joe Biden is a co-conspirator in violations of the Foreign Agents Registration Act, an act, by the way, that has thrown other officials in jail. Yeah. Paul Manafort, the one that is most famous that comes to mind, for less violations than what Hunter Biden is accused of.
Just last one quickly, Congressman. I think there's another vote coming up today. That's a resolution calling for the resignation of Harvard President Claudia Gay and a criticism of her and the other college presidents. Do you think that will pass?
I do believe it's going to pass because what Claudine Gay, what she did in the Education Committee, I mean, that was an absolute travesty. You have to acknowledge anti-Semitism when you see it, and it should be held accountable on our college campuses. And let me answer the question for her. Her code of conduct at Harvard gives her all the room she needs to hold those students accountable. She doesn't want to do it because she wants to be radical. And Harvard has a responsibility to get rid of her. And if they won't do it, it's going to be to the detriment of Harvard.
Congressman Byron Donalds, we thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Good to see you again.
Thank you.
You bet. All right.